here for the Nonprofit Cloud class, you are in the right place. If you want to go to the next slide, Kathy.
Yep.
We are hosting this, Kathy Waterworth and myself. That's our email addresses there. If you don't have those already and you need to get in touch with us, feel free. Just a quick background, our company, Hands-on Connect Cloud Solutions, is offering this as a free service. We figure the more you know, the better customer, the better partner you are with us. And Kathy and I are both nonprofit cloud consultant certified. Kathy does a lot of our virtual system admin program. And right now my big focus is on our new product, Llama Site. So if you go to the next slide, Kathy, we will do a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. My husband is a reformed high school teacher, so he always says, tell people what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So what we're going to talk about today is just a high-level introduction to nonprofit cloud, fundraising features, program management features, marketing engagement, and then a quick wrap-up. So, marketing cloud has a lot of moving parts. And so we want to take a little bit of time to look at the big picture and this high-level overview of the smaller parts that make up that big picture. And so to know what each component does and how it fits into the larger whole, and do you really need to use all of them? So let's get started with the introduction to nonprofit cloud itself. From the very beginning, in 1999, when Parker and Mark both set out on this journey, Salesforce made a commitment to nonprofits and to charities around the world. And at the time, that commitment encompassed 10 free Salesforce licenses provided by the Salesforce Foundation. And there are some geographic limitations. There are some countries that they're not available. And for some reason in Spain, they are priced differently. I don't know all the details of that, but just so that you know that it's not every single country, but most of the countries. So you can see eligibility guidelines actually on the salesforce.org website about what those are. So even though nonprofits had similar requirements around what a customer relationship management platform should do, those requirements weren't always easily met within the standard Salesforce architecture because it was focused on corporate use cases. Personally, I believe that 501c3 is a tax designation. It's not a business model. And those donors and constituents are truly your customers, even in the corporate sense of the word. But as nonprofits began to embrace Salesforce to automate processes, and their implementations were widely varied, and they became more and more expensive to maintain. So as I've worked with nonprofits, I've seen the standard Salesforce account functionality used. However, I've also seen other iterations designed to adapt the data structure to be more useful to donors and members rather than customers. For example, the bucket model was used to accommodate individuals at one point. That was long before person counts were ever introduced by Salesforce or the household model. There was one account named individual, and you guessed it, individual contacts were assigned to that account. As in all things Salesforce, there are limits. And as a Salesforce administrator, you already know that best practices recommend a maximum of 10,000 child records. So hundreds of thousands of donor or volunteer contact records, all associated with the individual account record, can cause challenges. That was just one area that needed a solution, right? So New York Cares was an early adopter of Salesforce, a nonprofit. They hired our parent company actually to help design, build, and implement a data structure that's very similar to what would become the nonprofit starter pack. And that's why I've got the picture here of Jess Lopez. If you've met Jess, she now works for Salesforce.org, and she was the one that led that project with New York Cares. In 2009, Contributor Development Partnership and Round Corner partnered to build the NGO Connect app on Salesforce. So it didn't take long to realize that nonprofits needed more than just a Salesforce instance. They needed it configured better to meet their needs. What was then known as Nonprofit Starter Pack was conceived and created as an open source application on Salesforce. It was created by volunteers and community members who were anxious to help nonprofits succeed with Salesforce. And of course, you probably recognize Judy Son, who headed up that very first community sprint and has been heavily involved ever since with all things Nonprofit Success Pack. So it went through a couple of iterations before it finally became the Nonprofit Success Pack. And now Salesforce.org maintains it. They have minor bug fix releases every other week, as well as 3 major releases per year. Not too bad for a free product. And you see the timeline here, just, from the very beginning, from the very start. And in recent years, 2018 is when Nonprofit Cloud became Nonprofit Cloud. But Nonprofit Starter Pack originally consisted of 5 separate apps, all free and open source. And it's important to understand because it sets the data architecture as well as the core functionality for all the Nonprofit Cloud. NPSP focuses primarily on fundraising and donor management and includes basic reporting and analytics. Improvements to NPSP with core donation management, donor engagement, and basic reporting and analytics prompted a rebranding, and NPSP 2.0 was born and launched. 3.0, which we now call Nonprofit Success Pack, is now on App Exchange as a complete integrated suite that includes Lightning Experience, as well as a robust partner ecosystem with a great number of ways to extend the functionality of NPSP. It's the core of Nonprofit Cloud, but Nonprofit Cloud consists of so much more. So Nonprofit Cloud is advertised as the one place to work with all nonprofit relationships, using tools for fundraising, program management, and marketing engagement. So let's take a look at some of these parts. So the fundraising features were the initial use case when the community started work on Nonprofit Success back in 2008. It was all about fundraising. And understanding the donor behavior seemed to be a great fit for a customer relationship management system. However, donors donate individually rather than in conjunction with their employer. There are some notable exceptions, like United Way's use case for corporate-driven pledges, which we'll explore later, and employer matching gifts. But the pain point was that the standard Salesforce data structure is focused on accounts. Accounts equate to businesses. And as mentioned, donors generally give individually. Sometimes donors give as a family, and donor campaigns often target those individuals living at the same physical address. Donors may also give at work or be instrumental in influencing corporate entities to donate. In today's environment, donors want an easy way to donate online, but there are those donors who are still more comfortable mailing you a check. Fundraisers employ many strategies to meet their revenue goals. Each strategy may require different data and tracking, so you can begin to see how quickly the situation can get complicated. Nonprofit Success Pack starts with these considerations in mind and uses many standard Salesforce objects, as you already know and love, as the base for fundraising features. And of course, those specific ones are shown here with the account, the contact, the opportunity, right? So you already are aware and know those. All right, next slide. Also, there are some additional features that have been added in the fundraising suite, right? So Elevate is a brand new one that's recent. There's a lot of information specifically on the pages in salesforce.org about fundraising with Nonprofit Cloud, and we'll go into a lot more detail about all of those. One of the key things is on the next slide, that there are 6 different record types that come automatically with Nonprofit Success Pack. And that gives an indication of the kind of features for fundraising that are already either available or being worked on, right? So donations, and separately from that, major gifts. Grants, I couldn't find a picture of anything that looked like a grant, so we've got Ulysses S. Grant there, but maybe that'll help us remember, right? In-kind gifts, right? I don't know if you've worked with nonprofits that accept in-kind gifts. That's always an important piece to track, but sometimes a difficult one to track. matching gifts, like we talked about with United Way, or even if your employer will match a gift, you don't want to miss those donations, the other half of the donation, right? And then membership is a big one. And Kathy will help us do a presentation on membership as we get farther along in the coming weeks. She's just completed a great membership build for a customer. So newer are the program management features. Until very recently, program management features were not a part of the nonprofit cloud at all. If you go to the next slide, Kathy, several of the program management features are free and open source. The program management module that comes as a part of Nonprofit Success Pack, Volunteers for Salesforce, which is a very mature product. It's been around forever. It also has not had a lot of updates done recently. It is a free product, but it is there and available to use. And then, of course, the Nonprofit Success Pack reports and dashboards that come with Nonprofit Success Pack that you can actually, there are built-in examples, samples for you there to build those reports and dashboards. Some of the paid features that are related to program management are case management with Service Cloud, and then Tableau, the cloud version, which is always a little bit confusing to me because Tableau does give nonprofits at no cost a desktop version of Tableau, and you can use it to really build out your visuals, but to know that that's available. The next slide, Kathy. So the program management module, luckily, only consists of 5 custom objects. So it's very customizable. It starts with a baseline and accurate reporting to get your programs up and running in the Salesforce environment. So once it's been configured, it's relatively simple to define the nonprofit's programs and services, add clients to those areas, and then report on the metrics with the pre-built reports that are included in the program management module. What I'm showing you here is just an example of one of the dashboards that we built out in a program management module use case that we were using. Then the next slide is a little bit more about Volunteers for Salesforce. It's also a free open source application available on the App Exchange. You may see it abbreviated as V4S. And it's also considered a part of the program management module, although it's installed separately. But it is designed to help nonprofits manage volunteers and track their volunteer hours, shifts, and jobs. The functionality to host volunteer sign up for a specific job and or shift on a nonprofit website is also an available feature. So it's been around since Groundwire originally created it in 2012 and became a part of Nonprofit Success Pack in 2016, so that you're aware. And then a quick look at reports and dashboards on the next slide. I don't know if you have dashboards that look like this. I'm a very visual person, so I like to be able to see at a glance what's going on in any specific case. And the Nonprofit Success Pack reports and dashboards provides a set of pre-configured reports and dashboards commonly used by nonprofits. So we'll look at those and learn about the following reports, such as the NPSP campaign household mailing list. That's one of the first things everybody else I want. I need a list of all my households, so I can send Christmas cards. Well, there's one in Nonprofit Success Pack already built. The SciBunt and LIBunt, the prospecting and reporting of lapsed donors or donors that gave last year but not this year. I hate acronyms, but I don't know what SciBunt is an acronym for. I know LIBunt is last year, but not this year. So those reports are available and easy to customize based on your specific needs, right? So next slide, Kathy. The paid products, Nonprofit Cloud Case Management with Service Cloud and Tableau for nonprofits are both considered part of that program management feature. Nonprofit cloud case management is designed for organizations that are offering direct programs and services to clients. So it really helps manage caseloads with personalized care plans and accountability. Obviously, a much more complex use case than most nonprofits have. Tableau for nonprofits, as we talked about, makes available starter dashboards for program management. So you can visualize program data and easily identify trends. The sample dashboards are free as well. We'll look at those when we look at Tableau and how it can enhance and extend the program functionality, really make your data, help you make decisions with your data. All right, next slide. So as more and more nonprofits use Salesforce and Nonprofit Cloud, right, there are more common use cases. So foundations have always comprised a large percentage of the customers who use Salesforce. And grant making and grant management are two sides of the same coin that we'll look at and understand when we get to Chapter 12, Declarative Tools and Modules. But the Outbound Funds module serves as the foundation for grant making. It was built by the Salesforce.org open source community and led by volunteers from nonprofits, grant makers, partners, and staff under that open source commons program. It is also free and available through AppExchange, and it was designed to track funding programs and requests, right, to gain insight on financial commitments and to manage disbursements. So the Outbound Funds module really extends the capability of Nonprofit Success Pack. The grants management is a paid offering from Salesforce that is intended to improve grantee experience with a branded grantee portal built on Experience Cloud. So I try to be sure and put, if there's a cost from Salesforce, to be sure to put that little $sign out there. Accounting Subledger helps prepare fundraising data and information for the accounting system of your choice. It's a paid product from Salesforce, but it cuts down the time spent on reconciliation tasks while providing a single source of truth for donor data. So it's really come full circle with Elevate, which is also a paid offering from Salesforce that uses Stripe as its payment processor. It provides payment services, giving pages, and an administrative interface. So Elevate works with both Nonprofit Cloud and Education Cloud, but it's currently only available to US organizations. All right, marketing, which is always an interesting concept to me because there are a lot of marketing and engagement options available to Nonprofit Cloud. So from the built-in engagement tool in NPSP to the more sophisticated paid tools. If you go to the next slide, Kathy, we'll look at, and I can't keep up with the rebranding as fast as I should, but there are tools that are designed to complete the circle, right? That gives nonprofits that 360-degree view of their constituents. And on the next slide, Kathy, will you advance the slide? Yeah, there you go. You may be familiar with these from your work as a Salesforce administrator, right? So Journey Builder, Email Studio, Mobile Studio, Social Studio, Advertising Studio, Customer 360 Audiences, Datorama, Interaction Studio, or Pardot, which is not known as Pardot anymore, right? Like I said, my branding, I can't keep up as fast as Salesforce changes their branding, but they all work with Nonprofit Cloud. So it's just a matter of looking at and deciding and determining which you need most in specific areas, right? So I know we've flown through a ton of information in 20 minutes, and I apologize for talking so fast. Like I said, I'm trying to make sure that we have good signal to get through all of this. But if you'll go to the next page, Kathy, the next slide, the next page. Just so we do have homework and we do have office hours if you need help. So we've put together some trailhead badges that will help cement the things that we've learned today, help you get ready for next week. And then Kathy's going to host office hours Thursday afternoon. So feel free to come in, stop by if you have any questions, anything you need to know, things that are not working on the trailhead. Another thing that I would encourage you, and you don't have to do it this week, but probably we will want it the week after we come back from the Thanksgiving holiday, is to set up a dev org and a standard dev org, and we'll want to work together to install Nonprofit Success Pack instead of just spinning up, a Nonprofit Success Pack org. It's very helpful to actually install it yourself. And we'll go through and work on the settings, and based on the discovery we do, start thinking about a use case you've got in mind, right? Is there, what is your nonprofit passion, or what is the nonprofit you work at doing? It may be a food bank. It may be someplace that uses grant management. There are all these different aspects of, maybe it's volunteering that's important. And I know we have customers who use Hands on Connect, our product, for volunteering. So think about the use case. Think about some specific piece that you want to improve for your organization. And we'll walk through and do some discovery, because to me, that's as important a part as knowing what tools are available and how to use those tools, is knowing the challenges that you actually want to solve for. So, so I would encourage you, if you haven't ever done that, to kind of take a look and start thinking about that. Kathy, if you want to end the recording here,